to this computer. Hi folks, welcome to Crossing the Line. And I'm Christine, and you are Maxine?
But you
And
cut me off.
yes, I did.
You did it again. You cut me off. How come?
I did not cut you
Oh
off, by
no,
the
this
way.
meeting is being recorded. That's why it's covering. Okay, then I'm going to get leave meeting. No, I don't want to leave the meeting. How do we get rid of that bar?
No, just click on something else and the bar gets up. Now you see Maxine struggling with the issues that the internet provides and technology to many of us, especially the generation that is called seniors, which should be a place of esteem, a place of admiration, a place of learning, because we as the elders are in a position to share our experience to the younger generation if they would only listen. Okay, now crossing the line. We are crossing a lot of lines. We are crossing the line between older and younger generation, men, women, and maybe even the fringe group of gay, transgender, and so on. I don't quote all those letters, they're confusing. We are also crossing the line between political parties because it really doesn't matter. Reason should win, shouldn't this? And merit. We are crossing the line between two countries that should be the best of friends. And what else are we crossing the line on, Maxine?
You know, when we came up with the name Crossing the Line, it seemed to fit into anything and everything that we would discuss in any of our episodes. Because when you get up in the morning, you're crossing the line out of your bed onto the floor or whatever. Everything's crossing the line. And you know what? And we do things sort of matter of factly. We don't think about it. And we're crossing lines all the time. And when we stop and look at it, say, wow, what did I just do? What did I just say? And how will that be interpreted? And all of this stuff gets in our heads and gets in the way of just living a life. And it's a clogged up system. You've seen, I'm sure, on the internet, all kinds of ads for lymphedema and the clogged lymphatic system. Well, we are definitely clogged, and we need a cleansing. We need a cathartic release of all the crap that has been immersed into every single human being. So they will be, and we will talk about this later, 1984 type things, right? We will be compliant. We will do as we're told, when we're told, and we'll even be happy about it. Now, how many people are depressed today? Gee, look what you've got to look forward to. You'll have nothing, and you're going to be happy about it. Yay!
No, you won't be happy about it. You'll need pills to tolerate it and tell
Well,
yourself
yeah,
and
I
believe that you are
sure.
happy when you are really nothing. You can't
Okay, but
feel.
I didn't get to that part yet. You preempted me,
Yes,
Miss Christine.
I crossed the line across Zoom again, and we haven't even told people who we are. I think we should.
Are you sure about that?
No, it could be dangerous in the times of Bill C9.
No, the thing is, that's very true. But I will tell people who I am, if I may. I am an 80-year-old lady. Come April 13th, I'll be 80. And it's like, whoa, weird. Until I look in the mirror, then I have this realization, or I go on Zoom and I'm getting all these shadows, and I'm telling you, Christine, fix the lighting, fix the lighting. And it doesn't help. So, but anyway, um, I am the mother of, I had 4 children. My first daughter died from a terminal liver disease, got me into the field of nonprofit development. I traveled all over the world, meeting all kinds of people because I had to help my daughter to save her life. It didn't happen. I worked with other people, but there was always this burning desire within me to fix a situation, an illness, people, or whatever. And I still haven't let that go at 80. And so I met you, Christine, a few years ago, serendipitously through another contact that I had on Facebook. And we met, and it was serendipity. It was,
Crossing the line.
yeah, it was. I'll tell you what line I crossed. I saw you there. I read your profile, and I said, "What an interesting lady. I'd like to meet her." So I said, "Well, what should I do?" So I sent you a note. I crossed the line. I reached out to somebody that I didn't know. I knew very little about other than what was written on a little profile on Facebook. But I had this need to connect with you. And it was greater than any trepidation that I was feeling or about any insecurity or about foolishness. And I thought, she's going to think I'm I don't know, a serial killer. I have no idea. But you never know. But it didn't matter. My need to connect with you was greater than that because I knew inside this was important. And I did connect, and we did connect. And I'm glad I crossed that line. And I do it again for you, my sister. Always.
That's sweet. And we have become sisters by choice, although we like to squabble and fight sometimes, like real sisters. But overall, we share a lot of values, to talk with our dear Prime Minister, Mr. Kearney. And we've learned to love each other a lot because I haven't been blessed with a real sister. And I'll talk quickly about the pertinent points of my life that's getting longer, hopefully, as we speak, because otherwise I would suddenly die, which is not really what I want anymore. So I grew up in Germany, in West Germany. In 1961, I was born the year where the wall was built by Russia between West and East Germany. So I grew up next to East Germany, a classic example about capitalism moderated by a social system and communism. Now, growing up, of course, like most children, I didn't think twice about it. It was just the way it was. And when we visited my grandparents who lived close, we sometimes went there and asked, "What's that barbed wire fence supposed to mean?" And my parents explained it to me. And over time, and we'll talk more about the details, I learned that it seems like communist regimes need two electrified barbed wire walls with a mine strip in the middle to contain people in their country. And I thought, that's like living in an outdoor prison. That doesn't sound like fun or even a good society. Now, I didn't know much about it at that point until the wall fell in 1989. At that point, I was already a physician, family physician, living with my then husband near the border, actually, in Braunschweig, an hour from the wall. And I remember very clearly how the pictures went on TV after there was a lot of demonstrations in the former Eastern Germany. And we said, oh my God, I hope they don't shoot them all like they used to. But this time they didn't because Gorbachev refused to shoot on them. And suddenly we saw people climbing the wall, and the wall opened, the doors opened, and they came to us with their little tiny stinky Trabant cars, smaller than a Gogomobile, a two-takt motor for those technology of you, and they came in long rows. Now, those cars had a wait time of over 10 years and cost more than 2 to 3 years of an average worker's salary. It was an honor to have that shitty box that we in the West very fast didn't allow anymore because it absolutely polluted the environment. Now they came over, and you know what they did? The first thing, because we in the West said, okay, we know your money from East Germany is worth exactly nothing, but we'll take it one on one because we want you to have a good day today. So we took the money one on one, and they went to the stores and bought chocolate because their chocolate tasted like cardboard in communism. They bought beer. They had some alcoholic beverage that tasted like rainwater that makes you drunk. Now they had Western beer. Now German beer is good. And they bought bananas. They didn't know what it was. They never had seen any tropical fruit. It was not available. Okay, I thought, Then, a week later, we were allowed to enter what was formerly absolutely taboo for Westerners. So we took the car and we went across through the death zone into what was former country, Eastern German country. I had seen pictures like that from West Germany, pictures of 1949 when the war ended. And that's how it looked there now in 1989.
Oh.
Cobblestone streets, uneven, fallen down houses, rubble anywhere. It was windows taped with plastic, with cardboard, wood, whatever they had. And the worst thing, and I'll never forget that, were the people. The people were walking, their gaze down on the street, didn't dare to make eye contact. And when you said hello or something, they might have looked at you and then looked back down fast. Their eyes were dead, no sparkle. And those who know me know I love to recover your sparkle. Now, those people needed to recover their sparkle. And after contact with West and after they joined the Western, and we paid for years, I think we still do that, I still pay German taxes, it's called the solidarity tax, to help them rebuild. They needed it. There was nothing there. And now they are back on par with the West and enjoying life just like what we took for granted growing up. And
You know what, Christine? I remember when the wall came down and watching it on TV. I was living in New Jersey at the time, married with children, and this in the 80s, yeah. And President Reagan saying, Mr. Gorbachev, tear down that wall. And that became an infamous statement that he made that's still quoted today. And it was like, oh my God. So in a way, there are certain parallels between that and what's happening in Iran today. The joy of, although the people in Iran are joyous because they're being free, the German people didn't know what to think of it, the East German people. And I gather even the West German, because they've been separated for quite some time and no interaction, no communication. So the stories that you have to tell, being an eyewitness to this, are really important because it's a human interest story. It's not German, Iranian, Canadian, American. It's human. And people need to know this, that we are, no matter where we come from in the world, no matter our background, our language, our religion, or whatever, we all have the same needs, wants, and desires. But you are a treasure, having experienced these things, to still be available to tell us. So I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but I just wanted to
it's
say.
okay. Thank you. And I think it's very important that those of us that know about the difference, either having survived it themselves. And I just heard a lady from North Korea talking about her time in North Korea. She managed to get out, which is obviously a communist dictatorship for those who don't know what that is. Or socialist, communist is often used the same way. We'll explain those terms in later meetings. But what she says really impressed me, because she says we did not know that we were oppressed because they eliminated the word oppressed from the dictionary.
That's
Wow.
amazing, isn't it? Think about the mind control. Holy moly.
And really, when you don't have the word to describe something, you probably don't even know that it exists. You might be able to dream it up or not even that,
Yeah.
because the brain thinks in images and words.
There's no
And
point of
if
reference. Yeah.
and if you grow up a certain way, you take things for granted. That's dangerous. If there is another regime that is aggressive and trying to take over,
And you
communism
know
does
what?
that,
Oh,
Muslim, radical
yeah. And
Muslimhood
you know
does
what?
that too.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt again, but it made me think too about today with Mamdani in New York. He, he calls himself a socialist, a democratic socialist.
No, he called himself a communist,
Well, that's why
self-proclaimed.
he's not calling himself that, but everything he does is communism. And, it's interesting because the people of New York put him in power based on what you are just talking about. It's like they took the word communism out of the dictionary. So they had no point of reference. So they couldn't go and say, well, what is that all about? And they don't believe it. Anyway, like, well, tax the rich, give to the poor. Doesn't that sound like East Germany a little bit?
Absolutely. And I mean, it sounds good. I read Karl Marx, the Communist Manifesto. It's a small book. I recommend everyone that listens it, get the book and read it. You can get it free of charge. It's public domain. Read it. It sounds beautiful. Oh my God, when you read it, you say, yes, I want it. Everybody is the same. Oh my God, the rich people are the same as the poor people. The smart people are the same. The problem with that is it's utopia. It's not real. Everywhere they tried to implement it, it
It's,
had disastrous consequences for the people that it was supposed to liberate. It did not. It killed those. It killed people.
yes.
Millions of people died in China when Mao came. Millions and millions of people died under Stalin and Lenin. Millions and millions of people died under Hitler, who had a similar agenda on the other side of the political spectrum. It's nonsense. There's really only one side of the
And you know
political
something?
spectrum.
The basic premise of being human, that spiritual spark that you talk about, is to have hope for the future and to be able to produce and live in a better world and to be productive.
Uh,
You're not productive in a communist society. You are told what to do, when to do, how much to do. And now with this thing with 1984 and Soma, you're popped a pill and you're going to be happy about it.
yeah,
But you're not alive. You are surviving. You are existing on what somebody else is wanting
yeah,
you to do. For whom? For the
yeah.
same people that you want to annihilate and get rid
No,
of.
I mean, I think what people really ought to do is the cheapest way, actually, that everybody can afford. Get the book, there's Audible, there's the great courses. There's a great course, Wisdom from History, Lessons from History, where
Yeah,
university professor talk. They are not on either side the political spectrum. And by the way, there's just two sides of the political spectrum: freedom for as many people as possible, and ultimate freedom is impossible, period. And dictatorship, oppression by whatever political party is there. Now, look at what we have in Canada now. Can we say whatever we want? No, if we offend the minister and they now define what they are offended against, they can turn off our internet. Maybe even throw us in jail, like they did in the UK. By the way, I heard they released them now. Now, we don't know anymore what's true or not because they dumbed us down on purpose. They confuse us with conflicting stories.
Yes.
When you go on YouTube, you see everything. So how do you know the truth? And we'll talk about that too, because there are ways to discern what's true and what's
And what
obviously
AI
nonsense.
generated, yes, because that's a big bugaboo, you know,
And
and
yeah,
true.
and I'm really sorry to say that it requires work on your part. You need to look behind the curtain. You need to look at the numbers. And when somebody tells you that is so, look, is it really true? Half of the time it's not, or it's a skewed version. And, I've taken 2 years of statistic at university here in Canada because I was really interested in numbers. It was hard, tell me, I don't like it really. I would love to just take things at face value, but I learned one thing. Statistics can be adjusted so they fit any purpose. And
That's
when my
right.
ex-husband,
Any
his
scenario, right?
dissertation,
You can write a narrative on anything you want and make it work for you.
right, I did 2 studies on ResearchGate that we published with my ex-husband's former employer in Germany. Famous studies, right? Double blind, no, not quite double blind, but uh, peer reviewed, they call it, right?
Yes,
They're out
yes.
there. My name is on them, and I'm ashamed to say so, that I personally falsified those studies
You told me, I know, I know.
because we had 2 little children. My ex-husband needed his job, and his boss told him exactly what outcome he expected this study to have. So he got paid by the pharmaceutical industry.
Yes.
And the first one I did to run the chemical, the blood tests that we did, it wasn't the outcome he expected. I worked at the middle of the night with the kids in my backpack in the lab to run those tests so he could get his dissertation. In Germany, you need to write a dissertation to be called a doctor. In Canada, you get it thrown after you, which is not fair, but it is. So, and that was very interesting because when we didn't get the results that we wanted, I went to my husband and said, "What should I do?" And I said, "Oh shit," he said, "we have 2 little children. I need my job. Can you make it so it fits?" So I thought a little bit and I knew what outcome was expected. And I went and titrated the chemicals, then run the titrated cups through the gas chromatograph, and beautiful curves came out perfect. That's what he wanted. It was just all fake. Now that's what we published on ResearchGate. It was written by everybody, peer reviewed, because it was real, right? Nobody knew at the time that I falsified it myself. So since then, I'm very cynical about statistics that have studies attached to them that are either paid by pharmaceutical industry or governments or that don't make sense.
Well,
Common
Christine,
sense, folks.
yeah, you know what? From the bottom of my heart, and I hope from all of our listeners, from the bottoms of their hearts, that they thank you for being so open and sharing that with us. Because you know why? Because you're human. And because nothing is ever black and white. It's all shades of gray. And how can we ever stand in judgment of another human being and call them this and that and or whatever when we don't know anything about their circumstance? What would you do if you were there? If this was
Yeah.
your life, how would you deal with it? I'm bet dimes to donuts. Everybody would do exactly what you did.
And coercion is very real. And you do not necessarily put somebody in jail and tie them and flagellate them and physically abuse them to make them compliant. We have now much better methods. And even that simple thing. There was no other compliance involved except for, do you want to keep your job? You better get the outcome that I want, says the boss. Now, we could have chosen, and many people during COVID did that, to walk away from the job and walk towards uncertainty. But we were young, we were scared, fear.
Oh, yes, the big manipulator, the four-letter word starting with F.
And you know, later when I look back, I said, I should
Yeah,
have known. My parents, my grandparents, they told me what happened before Hitler, how Hitler came up, and how they were deceived by the government of the time when they asked, why are our neighbors, the
yes.
Jews, being taken away? The government told them, well, we are taking them to a labor camp so they learn physical labor. They make too much money. And they didn't say a word until suddenly, my parents told me, and I just shook my head in disbelief from the history, suddenly the war started and nobody knew why. You know that suddenly, really? That's because of the propaganda, because if you only listen or only are able to listen what the government tells you because there's censorship, then you don't know what really happens and you get surprised when suddenly somebody attacks you. I'm sure the Irani people were very surprised when suddenly they got attacked.
The funny
My heart
part,
goes
oh no,
out.
here's a peculiar part about that, is that there was no AI during the Second World War or
Mm,
before, but the same manipulations, the same tactics were used that were applied to us in modern day regarding COVID and other things, political positions, et cetera, et cetera. So, you know, it's just that AI makes it a whole lot easier now, folks. So you really have to be even more aware, on your toes and scrutinize all those things you see, hear, and read, because dimes to donuts. It's nothing is 100% true, and a lot of it is 100% lie.
You know, it's really interesting. And I always said, follow the money trail. I think it's really important because when people tell you something and they have a financial incentive, whether their workspace depends on it, like CBC is 100% government funded. I
Oh,
love independent media. I actually pay to have independent media come into my inbox because I find they look at the issues from several sides, not just from their preferred side. And I want to be able to judge for myself. You know, really, when you look at it, and I'm sure if you're listening to that, most of us want the same basics: safety, dignity, a relative amount of freedom,
respect.
fairness, and a future for our kids and neighbors.
Yeah. Yeah, and
And
you know something else that's interesting. Over these past few years, I pay a lot of attention to what's going on in the US too, because I lived there 37 years. My
Mhm.
children are American. But as I have been watching, and when Elon Musk was starting with the Doge and finding all of the money that was um,
Wasted.
yes, right? And it was all going through, actually going through nonprofit organizations. Now, that's
Mm.
my professional background. And so, whenever we accepted money from an outside source, we always had to be very careful that it was not a conflict of interest. Like a pharmaceutical company is making the drugs that help the children that I was servicing with liver transplantation or any kind of transplantation. So if they give us money and then say, oh, and by the way, can you do this and this and this? And maybe you're not completely comfortable with it, but if you say no, they might say no to you, and there goes your funding, and there goes the help that you want to give to the people, right? That you're set up for, that your mandate. And so, as he's looking at all of these, and it's nonprofits coming out of the woodwork who are absconding with the funds and shifting it off here, there, all over the world to projects that we would never, ever in a million years commit to here in Canada or the US. I say, to me, Canada and the US are interchangeable regarding so many things. So folks, listen, don't get your hair in a knot or whatever about it. This is how I feel. But
But really, look at it. Canada and the US are like conjoined twins. We are joined at the hips. We have the longest land border in all countries in the world. Of course, we need to be friends or we are kicking each other like Siamese twins fighting each other. It's nonsense.
Christine, I used to, when I was going back and forth, because I was born in the UK, raised in Canada, then spent 37 years in the US and then a number of years in Asia. But when I would go back and forth,
Maxine, you're not that old yet.
oh, oops. That's all right. So anyway, going back and forth, and I would talk to the American people and I would talk to the Canadian people, and I would say, the only difference between our two countries is the color of our mailboxes. In Canada, they're red. In the US, they're blue. And any other difference I do not see. And I always felt that way. So today, for me to see all of this animosity towards our neighbors to the south, it breaks my heart because it's not true, all of that crap. We need each other more today than ever to pull together for the sake of the world, our security, our peace, the future of our children.
Oh, that's so true. And you know what, Maxine? That's exactly why we do this show, because we notice there's young, courageous creators on YouTube that tell the truth, but there's hardly any, if any, I don't know them, older people like us. And I think it's time for us to claim the place in society that we deserve, even in politics, and show that we are not just blind follower, complacent, doing as told, stupid. Be ready for the nursing home. I don't want to be ready for the nursing home yet, and I don't think you are ready to turn
No
off
way,
and be
Jose.
called. You're demented. No, I'm not, and you, so neither are you.
We in this age bracket have a lot to contribute, that we are untapped resources with a lot of wisdom, a lot of love and caring, and a lot of great ideas. And if we, and it's not, you know what, I love to talk to young people, especially my favorite age group, 3 and 4.
Grandkids.
3 and 4 year olds, little ones. And when I was in India, those are the kids I worked with. I'm an artist. And what came out of the mouths of babes, I was like, oh my God, it's so beautiful. They taught me incredible stuff. And that's what we need to do. We need to be sharing thoughts, ideas. Hugs are great. That's important. We need touch. And all of those things. But anyway, I don't want to go on and on. This
No,
was
no,
your
you're so right, Maxine. And if you want to hear from us and if you want to participate, there's a comment box on YouTube below. This show will be mainly on YouTube and Substack. I'll try to share it on Facebook as long as our government doesn't ban it. And it could happen on YouTube, less likely on Substack, because so like, subscribe the videos, and subscribing helps you find conversations with people like you, and we might give you a few talking points. Now, you don't have to be of our opinion, of course not. I don't really care what opinion you are, as long as you don't force me to have the same opinion as you, because we love freedom of expression, as it's called in Canada, or free speech. I think it's one of the most important freedoms you can have, cost nothing, except for it's a high risk for governments that want to oppress us, right? So in any case, for us, bring your best questions and we'll try to bring our best thinking and give you ideas and
And you know
thinking
what?
points.
The value of experiences. And so I would just like to say, each episode that we do, sis, we'll ask people, put on your thinking caps
Uh-huh.
before we start any episode. Put on your thinking caps and listen to what's being said. And then make up your mind about how that makes you feel inside.
Uh-huh.
Is it a positive experience? Is it negative? Both are okay because we're human. We're going to feel both and many more. But at least think, put your thinking caps on. Don't have a knee-jerk reaction because you'll hear things that you love. We know that. And things that you detest. And we know that too. So what? That's life. But listen, please put that thinking cap on.
I agree, Maxine. You can do it, you know that? And there's two tips I want to leave you with for the next week. Whenever you see a Facebook, YouTube, or whatever post, and you feel triggered, you want to share that, and or you are really saying, wow, that's cool, that's funny, that's miserable. Before you hit that little share button, pause, do as Maxine tells you, put your thinking cap on and ask yourself, does that make sense? And if somebody says something that you agree with or totally disagree with, ask yourself, what would change my mind if it was true? And maybe you want to go and look for that information. Maybe it's there and you just haven't seen it because the algorithms don't allow it. But it's
And
still
you
there.
know what? I would hope people would want to do that because guess
Mhm.
what, folks? This is your life.
Yeah. It's all our life, and Canada is at risk, and we love Canada. I'm a Canadian. For many, many years, I came here 30 years ago, and believe me, Canada was a good country. I had a
It's
choice,
changed so much.
Canada or US. I choose Canada. I loved the landscape. I loved the
Yeah,
people. I loved that it had healthcare included. And I didn't know at that point, and many Canadians still don't know that yes, US has healthcare for poor people. They don't sit on the street and have nothing. That's a myth that has been false.
well,
Canada
you
is
know
the
what?
only country that does not have a two-tier health system. That's also
Yeah,
true.
Canada used to be an amazing country. I love
Mm.
Canada. That's what makes me sad and frustrated because
Yeah,
I can see these things and it's like, what happened?
yeah. And you know, many older people fall for the
Happened.
idea they remember the Canada they grew up in, the good
Yeah,
place, the prosperous place, and they
yes.
can't see where we are going down the slippery slope.
Oh, please don't let it happen, people. Let's work together. Come on. Let's get back to being friends like we always were.
Yes, make Canada the strong and free country that it
Again,
deserves to regain.
sorry.
Again, yeah, make Canada great again, right? Has become a slogan, but it's true.
Your sense of humor, and
Yes,
you're gonna keep
absolutely.
laughing.
You know, you
Oh,
don't have to like Trump, of course not. He has a lot of things that I think, is he crazy? Of course. But I
he's
mean,
crazy. But anyway, Trump
he's
is for another,
democratically elected. So what?
yeah, he's for another day, Christine, really and
Yeah.
truly.
And
Yeah.
I'm really upset that we Canadian talk more about what we dislike about the US than about our country, that we can change.
Concerned about our Canada. Our country is not doing well.
Oh, they need a doctor.
That's another one we're going to do. Oh boy, Dr. Sauer. And you can
All
tell
right.
firsthand experience there too. But
So
anyway,
please, in any case, what you like, dislike, what you want to comment, what you want to talk about. Comment below, let us know, and we'll try to produce an episode a week. We can't do daily like money creators. Oh my God, they're so productive. But we'll do the best we can. And don't forget, we love you. We love Canada. We love the US. We love North America. We love democracy and liberty.
Yes. And you know what? Yes, tell us what you loved, but also tell us what you think we could change to make it better for you.
Yes.
We're happy to consider everything to make this a wonderful experience of sharing and caring.
Take care. And I hope you have a wonderful week. Bye-bye.